What's up, everybody? Hi, Bernard.
Hello.
Hi,
Hey there.
Bernard. We still have the music on. There we go.
It takes a minute.
Yeah, yeah, it's good. I know we still got. Oh yeah, there we go. Just hit 4 o'clock. So yeah, 5 o'clock in EU and a bunch of different o'clocks around the world. So welcome everybody. Hey, Alex.
Hello.
Yeah, we got our fellow team members from Pulsar and Functionland. You guys want to introduce yourselves, quick?
Yeah, hey everyone. This is Rahsan, founder of Function Land. Pleasure being here. Thank you for the invite.
Hey guys, I'm AJ Martin, the CEO of Pulsar. So a pleasure to be here to talk a bit about our project.
Awesome. Thanks for joining, guys. I think it's been it's been 2 weeks since we did the last one. Obviously, we're trying to do it every 2 weeks. And I feel like that each time we do these round tables, it gets more and more interesting because we've been having different people and different leaders from the projects that we've been in chats to and looking to do raises with, and everyone comes at this with a different opinion, especially around market conditions, like different things about macro and all these types of things, and I really think that it's super interesting to see these the way that crypto is evolving, and how all these projects are forming part of the a wider ecosystem. I think we've spoken about it intensely the last few weeks to months about how the market's kind of moving away from an infrastructure based platform.
Lead.
Yeah.
Just tell me when my bags are gonna go up. You're
That's
talking so much. Just tell me when my
yeah.
bags go up. I don't
Uh,
need you telling me what the macro is. I don't want to be poor anymore.
no, I'm just leading us. It's just I'm trying to give us a soft landing. Just trying to make sure that everyone knows that things
Okay,
are
Jerome.
happening.
Okay, Jerome Powell. Soft landing.
Oh gosh, no, but seriously, it's very interesting to see different people's opinions, and it sparks some interesting debates. So I'm really grateful that we continuously have different people joining us and making sure that we keep quite active with it. So yeah, Alex, do you wanna discuss some stuff that's happened the past few weeks, and then
Yeah,
we'll get
actually,
into the projects.
like in terms of just starting out, and we'll get into our guests from Functionland and Pulsar. But I actually had a really good call like just before we got on this one. I was talking to Nataji from Lender, and we were talking about we were like guys from Pulsar and Functionland, like we're obviously discussing listings, and like when to best capitalize on the market sentiment, which is drastically changing, especially when compared to what was happening over the summer. And Nataji and I, we were talking about how U.S. elections can obviously they're going to um, affect everything that's going on in crypto. But it was very cool to hear a different perspective from mine, and I can share my perspective right now. And like we're gonna keep this apolitical because like I don't care who you vote for. Like if you're a good dude, you're a good dude. It's pretty simple. Everybody believes in different stuff when it comes to politics or religion. I think that's a given. And if you're looking for trouble with that, you're always gonna find it. So it's just no sense in taking sides in many cases. But what I wanted to say is. If you guys are following Polymarket, like Trump obviously has a really large lead on Polymarket. This was even discussed in shout out to Marmosets, the OG group from Aleph Zero. This was even discussed there this morning, where it depends, I guess, which side you're taking. But one theory is people buying, increase in open interest on Trump, meaning that one theory is Elon and his people are trying to show some dominance. The other one is that the Democrats are increasing the betting on Trump because they want to kind of introduce this false sense of security for Republican voters, so they might not come out. So it's really funny because the polls, the Fox, ABC, CNN polls, and what you have on Polymarket are totally different. But I think it's really interesting to see that anyone who's looking at whether it be the polls or Polymarket, they're not really taking them at face value. you know. So the polls on like ABC and CNN, it's pretty much head to head. Maybe even Harris has a slight advantage there from depending on what interview she does and what day of the week it is. But on the other hand, you have Polymarket, but people, they don't seem to believe like, oh my God, Trump is leading. I don't know, maybe that's just people in my network, but it's interesting. It's definitely it's an interesting time to be alive in terms of crypto bull cycles and politics for all who observe. One thing I just want to add, and this is what I told Nataji, is I don't think that mid and short term like crypto really cares. Like interest rates are going down pretty much globally. Um, you know, Obama and Biden, I they haven't been very pro crypto. Like we've had great bull runs under both of them. But if you look at the Obama administration, it's not like they came out and they were like, "Oh my God, crypto is amazing. We need to regulate it, but in a proper way. But it's very bullish. We want crypto innovation." Like that hasn't really happened back in the 2010s. And if you look at the last presidential election, which is 2020, like I still remember almost on a day-to-day basis what the Bitcoin price was during that election, and I just don't feel that it's going to have a mid to long-term impact. Basically, what I'm saying, this is a coded tweet. The bull run is happening. I don't think anything in politics can really change it. Obviously, you always have potential black swan events like the COVID crash back in March of 2020. But I, I don't know, man. Like I feel like I wake up every morning and I can feel this in my bones. I don't even remember. This is like my third full cycle or like three and a half, depending. Like I came into this market in 2016, so it depends how you count cycles. But like I wake up with the sense of I can feel it in my bones. I know what the next 12 to 18 months is going to look like. I am super excited. I'm super excited for all the builders. Some of them are here with us, Pulsar and Functionland, who have been, I see Dexlot here. People that have been doing a lot throughout the bear. Like I have a problem with tourists. I know there's going to be companies, there's going to be some good, some bad that come in this bull cycle, but hats off, mad props to everybody that was building, raising through the bear market, and now you understand that this is your time to kind of shine, capitalize on all the craziness that's going to happen, the influx of new users, the new hype, the new interest. Like this is why we build. We want to do some cool stuff, and I feel like in a bull market, if you set this foundation that you've built over the last 2-3 years, much like we have as well, it's you made it. It's your time. Have some fun with it. This is when you 10x 100x your users, and I absolutely love that. Just in terms of an intro, Lee, thank you for giving me this platform. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
you.
course, of course. I mean, you touched on a bunch of really interesting points there. I think the main one that I want to kind of dig into is that people are not really taking kind of information at face value like they used to. Like people were very almost like trusting of a lot of information, and now there's so many different sources that people have to kind of go into their own into their own head and try and do the research to try and figure out what is going on, and that's true with a lot of things, especially within crypto, because crypto itself, there's so many like kind of bad actors within the space, but there's also a lot of good actors. There's a lot of people that are trying to change the ecosystem for the better, and that's where I think not only does that affect our job, like obviously figuring out like which startups are true and kind of gonna keep to their word, but also it allows our users to have that capability of going into the and diving into the weeds, and figuring out what their strategy is going to be and how they're going to go after these specific projects. So it's a really cool thing, not only happening in the world of news and all the things that are happening around there, but it also helps with investment strategy. Like the more you learn about that, the more you can kind of apply it to other aspects of your life. So it's really cool. So what I want to do is I want to just get a little bit into with some of our get into it a little bit with some of our guests. I think Functionland is one of the ones that we've just been introduced to, and we've been chatting for a little while, and they've been building since 2020, as far as I know, and their whole strategy behind Deepin and everything that they've been building is super interesting, and I kind of want to get a sense of how they built out their project and what they're trying to achieve within the deepen space. Because we've already chatted to a bunch of deepen projects, and I think Functionland has something interesting that's going for them.
Hey, yeah, thank you for the intro and the opening. Actually, just to add on that, like one thing is that Functionland has been in the market for 4 years now, so we've seen and survived the ups and downs of the market in the past 4 years. And one thing is, like, and then it's specifically true for crypto that a lot of crypto native people like me, like ourselves, are looking for like short term gains instead of like longevity. So like when you're looking at the equity market, for example, a lot of VCs that invest in early stage equity startups, they are looking for 1000x exits, but over 10 years. In the token ecosystem, a lot of VCs, even high profile VCs, they are looking for 10x over the next 2 months. So I think that's one of the probably like problems or the things that we need to like basically get over if we want to create things that are lasting. So that's and like with that, I want to mention like that's what Functionland has been working on. We want to create things that last for long, not just for a short term hype and dump. So that's why we selected like just a couple of VCs that we were comfortable with. Like they are in not just for a two months, like a hype and dump market, but for long. They've been with us for 4 years. So with us, like what we are creating is a true decentralized ecosystem. Like right now we are seeing a lot of blockchain projects, a lot of protocols that are pretty good. But the problem is most of these projects right now on the infrastructure wise, they are relying on the central servers, on Google Cloud, AWS, on a couple of other central servers. And the problem is, like whenever AWS decides to pull the plug, and it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when, the whole Web3 ecosystem will be in problem. Like they can either change their terms against Web3, they can either increase the prices, whatever they do, like it affects the Web3, which is not realizing the true decentralization. So for realizing that, we need to focus on the infrastructure. It's hard because it includes the hardware on the consumer side, which makes it double hard. But that's what we've been focused on, an infrastructure on the consumer side, which is easy for everyone to run, which is low power, which is cheap, so that everyone can access. So that's why we built FX Blocks as that infrastructure layer. This is a plug and play hardware solution, which anyone can set it up through a few clicks through their phone, like an Apple TV, basically. And then they can run protocols on it. We recently introduced the plugin system, which allows other protocols to run on it, like a streamer, but our own protocol is focused on data storage. So a decentralized data storage like Google Cloud, basically. And sorry, I ranted on for long, but yeah, that was like the history and what you're building.
Yeah, that's great, and I think you touched on a really important point there. And a lot of the time, when you learn finance, you learn anything to do with economics or those type of things. Having your systems or your specific inventory or whatever you have in terms of suppliers, kind of concentrated on one or two high-end suppliers, it comes to a point where exactly like you say, if they decide to change their terms or they decide to, I don't know, shut you off, like essentially you're at their beck and call, and this is really the reasoning why decentralization is really important. We touched on it like 4 weeks ago, where with a bunch of other people, where it was, I think no, actually it was 2 weeks ago with Havelo, where we spoke about it, that we'll never get to a point where we truly decentralize. There will always be some type of hybrid, just because of how it's working at the moment. And true decentralization, where you have it, I don't think it's possible. But I think moving toward a more hybrid model, and kind of diversifying the risk is super important, you know. So yeah, and what I was gonna say, so so why don't you go through a little bit of the kind of thought process behind Functionland, where you guys are based, like anything to do with the project that some of the users would want to understand, you know?
Sure, yeah. So Functionland, we started actually 4 years ago, as you mentioned, in Canada, in Toronto. The team is based in Toronto. Actually, I see Kate. Kate is from Functionland team too, and Kayvon. So we started Functionland. And from the beginning, what we were focused on was creating consumer-facing utility applications. Because if right now you go to Google Play or App Store, like the most Web3 apps that you see are like some wallet apps, some gaming. So that's it. Like you don't get to use utility apps right now. So we created initially an app called FX Photos, which is like Google Photos or Apple Photos alternatives, but on top of a decentralized ecosystem. So right now, like I'm using Android and Google Photos, and I'm paying for the photos that are backed up in Google Photos. I know that the same is true for the iOS users with iCloud and Apple Photos. So right now, all of our data are backed up on these central providers. And as mentioned, the problem comes when they decide to change their pricing. For example, Google Photos was free, and 3 years ago they announced that they no longer offer the free tier. Everyone has to pay. So like that's when we actually started to expand our ecosystem. So right now this FX Photos app is built on top of the decentralized ecosystem, which means we have individual owners of our hardware who provide a storage to the network, and whoever downloads FX Photos and use it then starts to back up their data on these decentralized nodes, not just on a central server like AWS or Google, but on people who are providing a storage, like Airbnb for data storage, basically. So instead of like relying on just hotels, you can rent from anyone. So that's what we've been building. So we started with the storage protocol. We released our testnet early this year. So we have two dApps live right now, FX Photos and FX Files. And we are integrating with high user applications, Web2 applications. So we just started integration with Amaze File Manager. They are a local file manager on Android right now with 1 million users. And we are the only decentralized storage protocol that can support their use cases of real-time data access, data streaming. So we are doing this integration, which opens us to 1 million users actually, which makes us one of the largest user base like in the decentralized storage ecosystem. And we are also on the hardware side integrating with other chains and protocols. So we released our plugin system actually this week, which makes us the first true multi-node deep-in device. So anyone who has our devices right now has the option to run other protocols easily through a few clicks through the app. So the first integration is with a streamer. So right now, like our users can basically join our protocol, which was decentralized storage, rent their storage and earn from it, and join a streamer protocol and rent their bandwidth and earn from it. So and we are working with other projects, like we are working with SingularityNet on the decentralized AI. We are working with a couple of decentralized compute projects. So, like we want to enable people to rent like their storage, their bandwidth, their compute, their GPU, and basically earn from it. Create a decentralized market for everything that we can earn. We can rent. How people are earning from renting their cars with Uber, renting their homes with Airbnb. So this will be the platform to rent things in the digital space, because as everyone knows right now, like data is gold, and right now we are keeping this gold on Google and Apple. So why not keep it ourselves?
Yeah, for sure. I've always viewed data as more like digital oil. You know, it's kind of it's obviously there's more and more being created, and it's you kind of have to have a flow, you know. I mean, everyone essentially needs oil, you know, so it's quite cool. And you know what, like going through that whole process must have been extremely interesting, because I mean, you're looking at it like you want to provide this service, and there's various ways to do it within the kind of online system, but now you're going at it with a kind of multifaceted angle, where you've got this the hardware aspect as well, you know. It's super interesting. Talking about hardware and GPUs and things like that, we've got Pulsar here. Pulsar is one of the projects that we've been chatting to, with regards to they have an online game, you know, and a very interesting setup they've been building for a long time as well. And yeah, I'd like to get them on and discuss a little bit about Pulsar. So hello.
Hello,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
here.
So hey, how's it going?
Yeah, good, doing good. Very interesting talk at the moment. Yes, just paying attention. But now is my turn. Okay.
Yeah, of course, of
So,
course.
Don't
Yeah,
worry.
why don't we do an intro and
We
then
can
discuss a
always
little bit
bring the
about
level
Pulsar? Yeah.
down if it's too interesting.
no, come
There's
on.
always room for it to go down, so no worries. I can just
No,
start talking more.
no, it's time. It's time for mooning in everything, in quality of conversation, in the market, and everything. Come on.
Yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's chat a bit about Pulsar. You know, like I think why don't we go with the origins, and how everything
Wait,
is going to
can I
work and
say
stuff.
something? Can I say
Yeah.
something?
Sure.
I want to start some shit. Guys, if you don't know Pulsar, it's a Web3 game that actually doesn't look like it totally sucks, and it actually looks really, really good. Which I didn't know that a Web3 game cannot suck. It's actually incredible.
Thank you
You
for
No.
that, man. Thank you for
you're
that.
trying to tell me that you can actually make gaming fun in Web3?
Yeah.
Where were you guys last few years?
Well, we were building, first of all. And before that, actually, I was trying to convince the company I was working on to do games in crypto, and it was a pure nightmare. Yeah. So we needed to do it by ourselves. The long story short.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny is Pulsar, when we've been chatting to them for a while as well, and getting into the nitty gritty of how they've gone about designing their game, and exactly like Alex says, they've actually created a game first. You know, like the Web3 aspect is just a way in which for the economy to run through, but the whole idea behind a game, as far as I know, I've been gaming my whole life. It's really about attention grabbing. You know, wanting people to kind of carry on playing. And the first call we had with Pulsar was that they were trying to get people to play because they wanted to love the game. They wanted to just carry on building and make sure their character was as good as it could be, and go through the map and whatever they were gonna do. And kind of the Web3 side is the kind of the additive, you know, it's something extra. And I really like that approach.
Yeah. So the premise at the beginning was, okay, we need to do a game. So first of all, I'm doing games since 20 years professionally, just a bit more. Yeah. And I'm former tech director of King, that one of the Candy Crush, another 18, and we had 400 million daily active users. So I know how many billions per year a company that is doing games that engage can do. Yeah. So when we started, we were saying, why we don't come back to the roots and we make something that we want to play every single day, like StarCraft, Command and Conquer, and those things, because nobody were building any new RTSs. Yeah. So at the end is, okay, now we have new possibilities of monetization, fees, and we don't need to be so predatory with the mechanics of the game, and put paywalls and so on. We can just design something new with a base in the blockchain. That is something that we were invested personally before we started this journey, that actually works and it's fun to play. The major problem we found is that at the beginning we didn't have any tools. Yeah. And I was going from Discord to Discord, trying to ask questions and so on, until we find out a technology that was fitting our needs and giving us all the freedom we wanted. Yeah. So to put it into perspective, we are able, with the technology we have today, to convert any game existing or new in days, a game totally all the users in Web3 without this headache onboarding of wallet. Because think about it, guys, there are billions of players out there. They don't care if a game is Web 2 or Web 3. They just want to play, have fun, and not get screwed by the developer doing some paywalls and macro transactions and all of these kind of things. They just want to enjoy, and if they are able to earn something after the years that they are investing in the game, that's fantastic. Or participate in the game economy, like happens in EVE Online. So we have this thing of, we love how you play StarCraft. We love the speed of Command and Conquer. And we also love things like totally online games like EVE Online with their economy that is player driven and so on. So we knew what we wanted. We just needed to build all the technology. And we thought that the best way was blockchain, because in the moment that you set up the rules and the game is fun to play, the players are going to figure it out what they want. This week, one guy was renting some NFTs to help him to refine tons of unrefined pulsar that the guy had before going into mainnet. So and they can do it alone. We don't need to intervene and be in the middle. Yeah, it's like if you remember, this will be my last comment. It's like World of Warcraft, the black market, of gold. Yeah, people like playing a lot of years there, and that they want to help others, so that has a value because they want to sell something to be able to buy another thing that is more powerful. That was forbidden by Activision Blizzard. Yeah, and the people needed to find other dark ways to circumvent those things. And at the end is, man, I'm paying you 30 $40 per month. You are not even allowing me. I don't want to even get rich. I just want to play and sell things and buy another things in your game and so on. So I think that is going to change. Investors, I agree a lot with the previous comment. Investors in Web3, they are too much focused in what you earn in a couple of months rather than monetize the long tail. As Web2, like I was operating games that they have 7 years, 12 years, and they were doing millions a month. Yeah. So that is what we need. Good games, real value behind, revenue and monetization mechanics that are compatible with fun. That's it. The players are going to come.
I agree. I agree. And you actually, it sparked, when you mentioned World of Warcraft, it sparked a beautiful memory in my mind when I was 15. So this is 2005, 15 or 16, 2005, 2006, when I used to, me and my very good friend, Pavo, we would fake being sick on an alternating schedule, and we had this pact because we found a great method of farming gold in World of Warcraft, and we split the profits. Whoever was able to fake being sick and not go to school that day. Beautiful times. But and that's actually, I think that's how like my love of crypto started, because we would use that gold to gamify the auction house in World of Warcraft. It was great. But
Yeah.
what I wanted to say is like one thing that really struck me from what you were saying is that's my comments. I know they were said to be somewhat incendiary in the beginning, because I do feel that a lot of and I'm using air quotes right now, Web3 games, they focus so much on the crypto, and like, oh, the token is 80% of what we worked on and it's used like this and that. Yeah, but it doesn't, like, the game sucks, you know like, if your game sucks, then, like, I don't care about the token. If the product is, I don't want to have anything to do with the product. And um, the truth of the matter is, like, I also see some GameFi companies that are so focused on the blockchain. And what I mean, like, the actual infrastructure, like, where are we launching? Because they have this. Just make a good game. If I don't care what engine a game is running, and I think of blockchain more as an engine when it comes to a game. It's like I've had great fun in Unreal Engine, I've had great fun in Red Engine, I've had great fun in Unity. Like, it just doesn't matter. Like, stop thinking so much about like the tools that maybe even the gamer doesn't really like care about. Like, what, you need me to bridge to some other chain? Cool. If you're that's the thing. if your product is good, it just doesn't matter. People will bridge to it, you know? Maybe it's a
Totally.
smaller ecosystem. Like I see, I see a lot of like really innovative ecosystems that don't really have the user base just yet. And there's companies that are like, oh, we would build there, but we want to go somewhere else because they have more users. Like, no, dude, if your product is good, you will have users. Like, I think that's what people don't understand. Like
It's because I think they are thinking on the Web3 only aspect and the token price. Yeah.
yeah,
What they don't
100%.
realize, just imagine. Let's get. I mean, I was working in really big companies. King was doing like 6 billion a year. Yeah. But let's suppose that you are in the realm of making a game that is doing between 10 and 100 million a year. Yeah, so something similar. There are very good games that are done. I think it was the Witcher 3 budget was 40 million.
Hmm.
Imagine how huge is that. Yeah. So if you have a small budget or a medium budget, and you go to make your game, and you are thinking on where am I going to get better raise of the price, you are forgetting about all of the monetization or the revenues of the Web2 users that are billions, not hundreds. I don't know how, maybe 200 or 300K right now might exist in total, or less than 1 million in Web3. You are putting your back on all of those players. I totally understand that companies need answer to their investors, and they need to have a good price action and all of the Web3 stuff. But I think one thing that's why I believe in the future investors are going to be more sophisticated when Web3 gaming, if we can say Web3 gaming, yeah, it's going to be only gaming, and they are going to think, okay, there is no bear market in gaming. During the bull run might have a price appreciation and the typical good stuff of the market cycles. But if there is something in the future that is going to be making money constantly year after year without a bear market, that is gaming. Yeah. But right now we are too obsessed, as you were saying, we are too obsessed with which network have better effect and what is going to be the price of the token. That is going to come in a natural way. And I really firmly believe that the money is in Web 2, not in Web 3.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Sorry, Leaf. I'll just jump in real quick. You're 100% right, and that's been, we've been talking about this for too many cycles. Like, people saying, "Oh, this is the product that onboards the next billion people in crypto." It's like, I truly believe, and I've said this. I said this 4 years ago. I'm going to say it now. The next product to onboard a billion people to crypto is just a really good damn game, because there's just so many gamers now. Like, I don't know, we're probably a somewhat similar age, probably a few years of difference. But like, if you remember, like late 90s, early 2000s, and it was the evils of video games, and like he killed his parents and it's because he played GTA San Andreas and
Ah,
all that
yeah.
BS. Yeah, and there was a great, like, I started listening to podcasts in 2006. There was one of the first podcasts I would listen to was the PC Gamer podcast. Like, they were very early on that, and I remember one of the editors there said, like, the truth of the matter is, like I don't want to sound like a dick, but we just need these people to die off. Like, it's a natural cycle where people, there's this new tech that people don't really understand, and there's people in Congress who are 60, in the early 2000s, that were 60, 70 years old, trying to regulate this market, and they just kind of need to die off because they're never going to understand it. It's the same case with Warren Buffett. Warren Buffett is one of the greatest investors of all time. He doesn't invest in tech because it's not his wheelhouse. He just doesn't get it, and he says, "Look, I know I'm missing out on money, but I'm just not going to touch it." Right? And the same thing goes for this stuff. Like, we are in this awesome time where, I'm in my mid 30s at this point. My brother is 40. We both grew up with games. Um, and for us, like, my brother just had a kid, right? And I already know that when he is old enough, like gaming will be something normal. It'll be normalized. It'll be like, of course you can play this game, just maybe not this one. You can play this one because maybe you're a bit too young for this. But there's not going to be this dichotomy of, either you can play games or no, games are the worst thing. They're going to melt your brain and all that. There's so many adult gamers that grew up with games that onboarding people into crypto in a way that isn't too invasive and where the game is just simply good and you just simply want to play it, which for some reason still has not happened in this space, is going to be monumental. It's going to change the entire landscape, and it's going to change how we even think about onboarding people in crypto. It's
Yeah.
product first, token, Web3 aspect is secondary. It's supposed to be a supporting pillar to give you some more autonomy, to give you some more possibilities. It's not supposed to be this giant gate that you put in front of the product. And hey, if you don't get it, get the hell out of here, buy my token, XYZ, and then we can talk. Like, that's not how it should work.
Yeah, agreed. I think someone wanted to change the topic, maybe the subject. We can talk
Sorry,
about this.
we're,
I can talk about
we're
this
very
the
passionate
whole day.
about. Yeah. Leaf, you
No,
need to
I
jump in
no.
here.
To be honest, I could talk about gaming all day as well. And
I can
that's
continue, but I saw you trying to ask a question or something.
no. I was just trying to jump in, but
All right.
Alex basically was talking about what I was about to not exactly what I was going to say, but it's very much along the lines, And I think that's the thing, like not just with gaming, but anything to do with like you say Web 2 or the traditional side of consumer facing apps, like the whole reasoning behind like blockchain and all of that is it gives you more options, and that's the cool thing about it. And I don't think people have realized the true potential of the technology. And exactly what Alex was saying, blockchain is not meant to be complicated. Like everyone talks about how complicated it is, and I don't understand it and everything like that. But it's really just a way to transfer value in a way that's invented at the moment. Like there's no middleman. There's there's a bunch of things that are different from the traditional side that blockchain is a lot better for. But the thing is that people try and make it so convoluted and difficult to understand that whenever you mention crypto, even now, people turn off. They would rather go after something they know, and that's the biggest problem for us, is to try get to a point where people go about their daily lives and they don't even know that the blockchain is impacting it in a better way, but they just get on with it, and that's what the job of anyone who's building within blockchain is about, and making things
but
easy to understand.
Leaf, exactly what you're saying. But if you think about this, and I forget, there was this thing on Twitter recently where Gen Z doesn't understand file directories. Did you guys see this? Do you know what I'm talking
Oh
about?
no, what is that?
Okay, so you know how we grew up with PCs, and even now, even if it's simplified, and like you have a bunch of Gen Zers who their their jump in point into using
It's
mass tech.
mobile, no?
Yeah, exactly. It's iPads, it's iPhones, it's things like this, and they don't have, like, I'm generalizing. Obviously, there's some who that are an exception that prove the rule, but the vast majority of them don't understand like how file directories work, like how the actual file structure on a Windows computer works, right? And what's really hilarious is now you have young employees entering the workspace. If you give them an IBM ThinkPad, it simply overpowers them, like in the sense that it's very difficult for them to use, right? And the same thing can be seen with crypto, and that's why I'm opposed to some project. Like I do a lot of research on, I've been in this space for almost a decade, so I try to question my preconceived biases, because I need to do it on a monthly basis essentially. But I see a lot of, whether it's roll-ups, whether it's new L1s, infrastructure, that, yeah, okay, it makes sense, but the user experience is horrible. And if the user experience for a developer is horrible, how can the user experience for who the developer is targeting, how can that be any better, right? And that's one thing that I mentioned. I've talked with Leaf about this at length,
Hmm.
is essentially the fragmentation that is occurring because everything in crypto wants to be an infrastructure project. And even if you started as a DApp, like, Aave, Uniswap, they are creating their own L2s. And like, yes, okay, bridging is getting better. The EVM is everything in EVM is one swap or one bridge away. But still, like, we are fragmenting user experience at a rate that I think is simply unsustainable, right? And I think that's a really big problem, and it brings me back to Gen Zers who are like we the millennials are starting to get a bit older at this point. We're going to be turning into the boomers soon, but when you look at Gen Z, like I just don't think that a lot of stuff that is uh, being made in crypto right now, I honestly, in a span of 5 to 10 years, when Gen Zers become what millennials are now, I don't think this shit flies, to be honest. Like, it is way too overcomplicated. The user experience is absolutely horrible. The fragmentation of what can I do here versus what I can do somewhere else is like it's just horrible. And I think that this is one of the key points if anyone's building right now. I think this is something, if you want to build something for the long term, you really need to push down really, really hard on user experience. And how hard is it to just run your product or service, right?
It is hard. Huh? I just want to make a little comment on that. Actually, Fernando, who is my co-founder, he was director of new IPs at King. He knows that the onboarding experience it's the key to succeed. So you cannot be opening a window, asking for a wallet or a password or create an account and complicate the things. It should be download and play. We have a little window that say enter your nickname. Do you have a referral code? Go ahead. Just enter, play, have fun. And if you want to buy something, you're going to buy something. If in the moment that you have fun, you feel the community and so on and so forth. So I totally agree. We solved that. It was very key for us at the beginning. And we have that type of experience. Download and play. Forget about everything else. If you became crypto knowledgeable, you're going to find a button that says connect your wallet, and that's it.
Yeah, that's great. And I think I think also when Alex refers to infrastructure, he's referring to layer ones and different layer twos, and it's more like the kind of consumer facing infrastructure, and I think that's where for someone like Functionland or any kind of deepen project that's trying to kind of facilitate that layer between the kind of physical like layer versus the digital layer. That's why those type of things are super important, and we don't really think about it that much. But the reason why we don't think about it and why everyone should focus on things that they are kind of good at, and I think we have a big problem in crypto where people try and do too much. They don't focus on what they're good at, where we kind of waste resources doing things because we think we can do them and not because we trust other people to do it. So having that in your wheelhouse to know when you're good at something and when you need like outside help or you need outside influences to bolster your ecosystem is super important.
Leaf, you know what it is. You know what a lot of crypto projects are. I'm like not throwing shade at anyone here, like just so you get me. But a lot of crypto projects and what you're saying right now. If you guys remember the show Pimp My Ride, a lot of projects are like that. It's like, yo man, we put a chandelier in, and you can make 30 coffees out of your boot, right? It's like, but what's the point of that? Like, if I want a car, dude, I want a car that doesn't break down, gets me from point A to point B. And a lot of crypto projects, like, yes, it's theoretically cool, but it's just unusable.
Yeah, it's like give me all the tools that I need for everything that I ever need. Not trying
Yeah,
to
yeah,
figure out
we
what you
heard you
want.
like gaming, so there's a Nintendo 64 with a 32-inch flat screen in the back. It's like, oh, thank you, I guess, but does it actually work? Like,
Will
can
they
I
actually
drive
use
this
it?
car?
You know?
Yeah, yeah, like, and that's a lot of that's whenever I hear new L1 right now, I cringe very, very hard.
Yeah,
If
it's
I
it's
hear new
it's
L1, new
One
L2, I cringe.
Yeah,
If
it's
if
another
I
thing
can
as well.
add,
Sorry, it's just 2 seconds. It's another thing as well as why do like every single project need a token? You know, this is another question that we go to with a lot of different startups. It's like, okay, well, what's the token for? You know, like, okay, we're going to give you a token, but why? You know. So anyway, sorry, yes, I've dropped you
oh
off
yeah,
there.
no worries. No, I just wanted to add, like, yeah, I totally hear, like, what Alex is saying, but what I want to mention that it's not that, like, crypto is doing bad. It's because crypto is new. Like in the early days of internet, IBM had their own internet, and like, each company actually had a separate internet before we have this global internet that now everyone is using with the standard protocols and everything. So crypto is very new, actually, even newer than AI. Like AI has been there for years before that with like the neural network and like it's way back. So everyone is now exploring in crypto. So like people are just, some of them are just jumping into crypto. Like from different technologies. So that's why like we have this fragmented area, like fragmented section, basically, that we have different protocols. They can't talk to each other. It makes it hard for users, but it shouldn't be that long before we reach to a point that like we have standard protocols, like bridges, things that enable different protocols, different projects to talk to each other, like the internet we have today. So yeah, like I think we are getting there, but we are still new. So like the whole Web3 is still new, and that's why also like on user experience, it's true that like these Web2 companies had spent years and years of experience of technology on fine tuning the UX. Like right now when you go to Google, you have this smooth like login feature, smooth Gmail experience. But if you remember, like the Yahoo page, that early times, like it was so crowded. So like Google learns that like in order to have to gain users, they have to simplify things. So they even changed their logo, right, to a minimalist logo. So these are the things that the Web2 world has learned over time, and now like the Web3 ecosystem is just like just trying to replicate and learn and optimize. And yeah, just not to forget that Web3 is just a technology. It's not the goal. Like it's just a tool that we have in our tool set to provide something better for the users. So
I
either
agree.
like, yeah.
I agree with the overarching point that you made. I disagree with very particular elements of it, because even when you said Web3 is a tool, the problem with Web3 right now is I don't need 42 hammers. And right now, a lot of the market and a lot of VCs are trying to show me hammer number 50 and hammer number 60. So I agree there's a unification that is on the horizon, I would say, but we're not doing ourselves any favors, because even if you look at, we obviously, in terms of investing, speculating, trading on the market in Q1, it was a hot time, right? It was great. But if you look at how much liquidity has been sucked up by straight gambling, I don't want to sound like a boomer and it's like, oh, these damn meme coins. Meme coins are great. I have nothing against them. But I just have an issue if someone right now, and I see it, like I get those decks. I get those decks from my VC friends, from my angel investor friends, projects applying to AngelBlock. And I see a lot of L1s, L2s still being created with absolutely zero, like no unique selling point. And the issue is, it's the same when Uniswap really took over the market share of dexes back in the day, right? And it's much easier for Uniswap to implement a feature that's cool rather than create a new dex that has that feature, raise money, develop the decks, and then implement that feature that's supposed to be your unique selling point, right? And that's how I kind of feel a lot of infrastructure is. It's based on, EVM or Wasm, Rust, whatever else you like, but it just has this one tweak. And the main difference is that me and my VC friends invested in it rather than someone else 2 years ago. So that's kind of like the issue that I wanted to. But I totally, Hassan, I agree with you, man. Like we are waiting for that moment. But I also feel personally, I feel like if you ask me in 2020 or 2017, what 2024, 2025 would look like, I think I would have like this tiny amount of optimism more, that we would be a bit more mature. But it's true, like we are a young space, and there are growing pains that come with it. I'm an internal bull. I'm always optimistic when it comes to, especially this market. But I would have hoped there was a bit more ideology, I think, in the early days that we've lost to hyper gambling. And I would like to see that ideological aspect, because you guys, you talked about data ownership, right? And this idea of data ownership, individual sovereignty, uh, being a part of a system that's not fully reliant on fiat currencies and corrupt governments, like those were very big motivating factors in 2015, 16, 17, early days of Bitcoin. And right now, I feel like, there's even the memes of like 2015 Bitcoiner. It's like, oh, I'm an individual sovereignty, the government can't tell me what to do. And now it's like, woo, BlackRock is buying my coins, I'm going to be rich, that's the aspect that I talk about, that we kind of lost that ideology a bit. And I know I kind of tied that into the user experience and the speculative infrastructure element of things. But I would like to see this ideological aspect of, building because you think it's right, because it's building things in a way that you believe is ideologically correct and morally good, I would even say, versus building because 99% of why you're building is driven by the speculative, profit driven aspect. Not to shill AngelBlock too much. I'll let you speak, Hassan, real quick. I just want to say, not to show AngelBlock, but like could have 4, 5, 6x our growth and profitability if we went down the road of other, I would say, launch pads, right? Which is like, money is important, users are not. And I'm not saying everybody functions that way, but even a lot of centralized exchanges sadly have this kind of ethos. And we have made many decisions where we understood that from a business perspective, we should be making them differently, but on a moral basis, we were like, no, we don't want to do XYZ because that is a big problem that we see currently in this market, and we do not want to participate in creating additional problems for users in this market, even if it translates into more money for us, right? So that's my spiel. Sorry, Hassan, to cut you off.
No, no, I totally agree with you, Alex. And I think as long as the ideology is correct, like the base is set correct, the vision is set correctly, then it may take longer. That was what I mentioned earlier. Like equity investors, they are in for 1000x in 10 years, not 10x in 2 months, unlike unlike a lot of VCs in crypto. And that's the problem with the same problem that you mentioned. Like, because we need to set the vision correct, and for the vision to be executed properly, for a correct vision to be executed properly, you need time. You can't execute, like in 2 months is a good thing. So like for example, with everything, with data, for example, like data ownership is important, but maybe today user, like maybe 2 years ago, like if you were talking to users, and we started 4 years ago. So initially, when we were talking about data ownership, a lot of people were like, okay, like why should I care? I don't care if my data is on Google or on Apple. But then, like that's when we decided to also say that, okay, it's going to be cheaper too. So that was the driving factor for users. Okay, I get cheaper. I don't care about privacy, but I get cheaper storage. But now even the privacy part is becoming important with the AI. Like a lot of people right now are concerned that, okay, where is my data that I'm sending to ChatGPT being stored? How are they using it? How are all these AI companies using my data? And the governments are also like very concerned about the privacy aspect of the AI. So as long as the vision is set on the ground basis, then like there would be a point that users understand that goals are more important than the short-term hype. But yeah, totally agree with you, Alex, on all the points.
For sure, yeah, and it's been great. What's great is these are the type of conversations that are needed to be had. I feel like it's quite ironic that there's so much infrastructure within Web3, but there's just no structure, if that makes sense. We got to the point now where we still almost like the Wild West in terms of deciding what's going on. I was chatting to a person in my network the other day, and he said he's been a long-term bond trader, so he's been trading securities his whole life, and he sees crypto and Web3 as almost like a solution that's looking for a problem, and I'm not saying that is that, but it's almost like we create, like exactly what Alex was saying before, is we create all these specific tools around different things that we don't know what they apply to yet, and I think there still needs to be a point in time where Web creates a foothold and we have a good structure like the internet eventually became, and then people could essentially build on it and figure out what the next steps are, from Web 1 to Web 2, or wherever we decide to go with Web 3. I know that it's not going to go away from a technology standpoint, and there's definitely some innovative stuff that's being built, but we still need to get to a point where we kind of are dealing with the real world problems and figuring out how to make people's lives better.
And
Yeah.
one thing I wanted to mention was, the thing that Alex mentioned was about why we need to build something for one feature, right? And that's true, like that exactly for function land, for example, we didn't start to create the whole protocols from the scratch, because there are very good protocols out there for decentralized file management, like IPFS, and a lot of projects are using it. So exactly, why build something from scratch when there is something else? Let's collaborate. And I think that's the winning mindset of Web3, actually, that now and gradually, like, it's increasing, that a lot of projects that were working in silos, or instead of just competing and trying to get a bigger market share, like what we were seeing in Web2, are now like collaborating with each other. Even if their target market is the same, they try to collaborate with each other to to give more options to the users. But yeah, like, definitely we need to get to a point where it's easier for users to get onboarded on the UX, user experience side.
For sure, for sure. And we're gonna wind down the call. We got a couple left. So what I would like to do is we chat to Isan and the team from Polestar, and basically if you wanted to, if people wanted to find out a little bit more about Functionland, where would they go? Is there any kind of demos that they can go to, and then we'll move on to Polestar afterwards.
So yeah, so for Functionland, we are posting a lot of our updates in our Twitter. So make sure you follow our Twitter, like that. That's where the main updates are being posted. Also, the basic information is on website fx.land, and like the details on the device itself is on shop.fx.land.
Cool. I know Pulsar's got some interesting things coming. Their game is actually out if anyone wants to try it. And they've got a bunch of really cool updates that are coming through. So
Yeah, so let's comment a few of those, no? So guys, first thing you need to know, if you want to try Pulsar, you go to pulsar.game, you download and you play. Yeah, try it out. We are going into mainnet tomorrow, guys. Everything is ready for tomorrow. So first thing first, now until the 1st of November, we are running a program where when you enter and the account is created, you're going to have a pack of free minted NFTs that are quite generous. I would recommend you to join discord.pulsar.game, or follow us on Twitter, because the OGs and other users are pasting the referral codes. Yeah, so we have this program right now running, where everybody that enters in the game, they can set up their referral codes and can invite friends and get some extra units and resources. Yeah? So apart from that, mainnet happens tomorrow after 2 years of development. We were like 3 years between creating the infrastructure and doing things. 1 year and a half, we stay in testnet, generating more than 600 million transactions. So we felt that hey, we are ready to go. Now the interest in the market is going to pick up quite soon at the end of the year, and I think everybody's going to enjoy the experience of what we created. Yeah. After that, we are going to run competition. We have a leaderboard and a bunch of things that we are going to introduce, like new abilities for you and your enemies. The dungeons are really, really fun. Try to play with other people. The best place again is Discord, when we are the whole day talking about stuff and sharing our experiences and whatnot. And soon enough, in November, it's when we are going to launch the new version. The new version, it's a really good deal, because the current version you're going, if you don't have a kind of not super powerful PC, but it's very CPU bottleneck, you are going to have maybe 40, 60 FPS depending on your machine. Actually, we have a Mac version that you can download, and actually we tested on the latest Mac Intel, as a base model that we want to care about to as a minimum device. So the new version, we measure with thousands of aliens at more than 200 FPS. So it's going to be truly amazing when we are going to launch the big lands. We are going to have 64 people with hundreds of units in the land killing each other or killing the aliens and so on. It's going to be really fun. So after we clear out with the mainnet and the new version of Pulsar, is when we are going to introduce new game modes. We have a new one called Hold the Base. We are going to have a Capture the Flag to play with your friends, and it's when we are going to be crafting the missions, what we call saga map in the Web2 industry. Basically, you're going to have a map where you can jump in and out in cooperative or solo to be playing with your friends. Then next year, early, is when we plan to do the jump into Steam, Epic Games, even mobile. We are going to start with iPad, as the screen is more similar. The experience, of course, is not going to be the same, but I think it's important that the people can have their iPad, do a couple of things to keep an eye on their land if they get attacked or not. And yeah, we are going to be releasing content almost every single month with new competition and so on. It's going to be tons of fun. We had an incredible amount of fun during the testnet, and the community you're going to discover in Discord that is truly amazing and quite fun to interact with.
Awesome stuff. And just so everybody knows, look out for some announcements regarding the raises on AngelBlock. We got some really cool announcements coming out soon. And yeah, thanks to everyone for joining. Alex, do you want to have a last word before we end it off?
No, I leave that up to you, sir.
Yeah, no, guys, thank you so much for joining, and it's been really interesting. Nice to have a gaming project on that is like Alex said, and like everyone I'm sure is thinking, that actually has thought about the game before the token economy. And obviously, thanks to Functionland for joining us. Thanks to Sun. Yeah, really interested in these two guys' projects, and I think it's going to be very interesting seeing how they develop over the next few months and years. And that's the thing. Like, another thing that was said is that people do think that the market's going to end after the next bull cycle, but people don't realize that if projects have decided on a 10-year horizon, that's their goal. Whether they get to their next phase earlier, it all just depends on their adoption. I think the right projects are building with a long-term horizon, and I'm looking forward to it. So thanks everyone, and we will chat to you soon. Chat to you in 2 weeks.
Thank you so much, guys. Really appreciated the time. Have a good day.
Bye, everyone.